Philip, Advocate Sinel. Last time we...
Philip will do.
Philip will do, thanks. The last time we did an interview, you mentioned that you will be writing a book.
Yep.
And as it looks like it's the Restitution and How to Obtain It.
Yep.
It's published.
Yep.
And
it's available on Amazon, as I think they do it in an audio book as well, as the paperback.
And so you describe the book as a self-help book. Can you sum that up?
Yeah, it's designed to explain to anybody, whether they're an individual or a business, what you need to do to win. Now, there are two things in that. Do you want to litigate at all? So you need to be going in with a really good idea as to what the likely outcome is, where it will get to, and so on and so forth. But it's designed to help somebody get into the position where they can make those logical decisions.
How to get ready for litigation.
Yeah, and then how to decide whether to do it, and then how to do it if it's going on. It's designed to give an explanation of the process. And an explanation of what you and your lawyers should be doing at each stage. These things are quite fluid, but it's designed to give you effectively a game plan.
So basically you're saying, if I got that right, so if I want to I want to litigate, this book would help me know if my lawyer is acting in my best interest or not.
Yeah, I mean, the best interest is always the wrong way of doing it, but basically, are you organised for this, and have you got the information available to make the right decisions? There are always uncertainties, but you can give yourself a much better chance doing this.
Right, and you say the process, so what exactly is the process then?
Well, the process, it doesn't really matter where you are in the world when you're doing this sort of thing. First thing to do is to work out what you want to obtain, and then what evidence you've got that's going to get you from A to B. And then you work out the process and where you're going to do it and so on and so forth. You'd be amazed at the number of people who will go to see a lawyer and really it's all a bit sketchy, and if you start to ask hard questions like, well, where are the documents and where are the witnesses and things like that, those sort of equations need to be done early on. Right,
so, and again, it talks in here about whether you should trust expert witnesses or not. What I don't understand.
Right, expert witnesses are there to inform the court in relation to areas which are highly specialised. For example, forensics. On a very simple basis is that my DNA sample, is that somebody else's? Or in relation to, say a complex financial instrument, what it did, whether it was priced correctly, and so on and so forth. And you get them coming into children's cases as psychologists. They come into criminal law as well.
And so, should we trust expert witnesses or?
No. You've got to treat them with a lot of caution. Depends which countries they're coming from, but you need to be really quite careful about your choice, the other side's choice, and then you want to start to double guess the methodology.
So expert witnesses lie?
Some do, and I think that some do. Simply, I've seen that, and others will gild the lily to because their client wants them to say something, rather than being straight down the middle with, this is my expertise, this is what happened, and this is what this means. They shouldn't be trying to determine the outcome of a court case. They should simply be informing the court of their area of expertise.
But that rarely happens. We've seen that. I mean, you see that in criminal cases.
You see it a lot. You see the ones that go wrong. People often don't pick up on all the ones that go wrong. And sometimes it'll take another expert to tell you how they've managed to get, how 2 + 2 = 7. Some of them are, well-intentioned, and they think that they're making the world a better place, and they just don't have the internal checks and balances in themselves, and their methodology is wrong. So you can analyse an expert witness and look at their methodology. There've been lots and lots of miscarriages of justice on criminal things as a result.
On the word of it.
Oh yeah,
On
people
the word
have done serious time and had their lives raped.
Because people do have, if you like, prosecution cases, I'm talking in the criminal sense, that they'll have their go-to expert witness, won't they? That's how we'll go to him, he's favourable to us, they use somebody they know.
There's a degree of institutionalization with these things,
Yeah. So how do...
And it's very difficult for somebody who's on receiving end. How do I get somebody who's independent and who's credible with the court, and so on and so forth.
Is this addressed in the book?
Yeah,
So,
to some extent. It's not a huge book, but it does give some pointers on it.
Yeah. How do banks defraud corporate and private customers? I mean, banks, they're the good guys, aren't they? They look after our money for us.
Well, if you believe in that, Neil, you're in the wrong century. You really are. I think what's happened with banking is, in the old days, a banker lent some money and borrowed some money and made a margin between the two. Well, now the pressure is on to sell financial products, pensions, insurance, swaps is one of the worst ones, and that's the sales team. So they're not advising, they're selling. Right, and if they've got the other side of the transaction, so if you're losing, they're winning. They've got huge conflicts of interest.
Right. So how do they go around defrauding corporations?
Well, you go to a company that's got for example, you go to a company and say we've got X borrowing. Well, what you actually need is one of these products. This is an insurance or a fail-safe, and I saw umpteen examples of it being the exact opposite. And we actually infiltrated the banks and found out how they'd done it, who did it, what the sales team were told to say, and so on and so forth.
Because you deal with this in the book, don't you? You use 3 real life cases, don't you?
Well, obviously, all of these things, I've changed the facts and changed the facts slightly, changed names so that it's not traceable back. But everything in here is based on, all the examples are live things that I've actually dealt with.
In the book?
Yeah, and we've changed the names to protect the identity of the guilty.
So what will potential litigants get from this book? Or, what would anybody get from this book, and particularly potential litigants? What will they...
Hopefully it's a good read. It's designed not to be too heavily technical. It's designed to give lots of, and does give lots of examples, and they're all real ones, with very few alterations from the actual facts. We've taken real scenarios that I've encountered over the years. So you're thinking of litigating, pick this up, and you'll start to get what you should be thinking about, how you should be organising yourself, and all the other bits that go with it.
That comes into the self-help, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah, and how you and your lawyers should be making decisions on the basis of what you've got, what you haven't got. It cuts down the variables and the risk.
Would it be worth reading if you're not considering litigation? Would it be educational?
Yeah, it is educational, and disputes come across. We come into all sorts of disputes. So there's some generals in it. And then there are some, specifics: divorce, company shareholders, trustees, insurers, things that do happen to people in life.
That's good. Well, I'll put a link up to it in the blog posting on Amazon. But isn't there? Are you not writing another book? Are you working on another book?
Yeah, I am writing another book. I will. That's going to be a longer lead period than this. I've been writing about how it all goes wrong, and how you can work out when and how court cases, inquiries go wrong, how some of them are set up to fail, and how some big injustices happen.
Well, we look forward to it. We'll hopefully we'll read the book and catch up. Maybe do a follow-up after it's been published.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.